Is it better to get the 3rd gen Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro or this 4th gen electrified, turbo-wise, 4-cylinder Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro? I have driven both of these on and off-road, and in the end, from a capability perspective, there is a clear winner. But with truck prices going through the roof these days, choosing between a 3-year-old car and this new one is like choosing between a normal car payment versus a luxury car payment. And in the end, is the extra capability worth it? The last time I reviewed a Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro was for the 2021 model year, and after delivery, that top Tacoma trim cost almost $48,000. Now, looking at those at the used car market, there are some good deals, but you'll probably end up paying about the same amount. Now, this new 4th gen Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro with the hybrid engine, a turbo 4-cylinder instead of the V6, even more off-road capability, lots of improved technology inside, and also a ridiculously bulky and purpose-built set of off-road seats. After delivery, you can get this for $65,869. That's nearly an $18,000 price difference versus the 3rd gen Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro. So as we go through this video, comment down below with your choice, the new one or the old one. Let's start with the old 3rd gen version first. If you want that Toyota reliability that everyone talks about, don't even watch the rest of this video because this is the one that you want. The last 3rd gen Tacoma is the 2023 model, so it's still very new and it will no doubt last you for many, many years into the future. It's powered by a 3.5 liter naturally aspirated V6 making 278 horsepower and 265 pound-feet of torque attached to a 6-speed automatic transmission. On the road, that Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro drives like an old school truck. It's slow, the engine doesn't have great throttle response, the transmission is sluggish, and also the mileage isn't great at around 17 city and 21 highway. Off-road though, the Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro is a beast of a truck. From the factory, it's capable of handling moderate difficulty trails with ease. It comes with upgraded Fox shocks, it has decent ground clearance at 9.4 inches, some nice armor down below, nice all-terrain tires, and a great approach and departure angles. And of course, you get the 2-speed transfer case with rear locking diff, off-roading tools like crawl control, and there's also multi-terrain select, and for this 2021 model year, it even has a 360-degree camera system, which is a very helpful tool not just for parking, but for off-roading as well, so you can easily avoid those trees while maneuvering. That 3rd gen TRD Pro is the truck for those that want serious off-road performance without making a single modification. Now let's talk about this new 4th gen Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro model. This is completely new for the 2024 model year, so it's pretty much like hitting the reset button on reliability. And yes, this is a first model year car. It has had some reliability issues, primarily with that 8-speed automatic transmission. And thankfully, that's what a warranty is for. You know, first model years, they're always going to have relatively more issues than the more mature versions. Now, I can't be certain that there's not going to be more issues with this gen, and it's good to know that at the time of this filming, there hasn't been really any well-known issues about the 4-cylinder engine and the turbo and the hybrid system. I know that the Toyota Tundra have had issues with the 2022 and 2023 model year turbo engines for that 3.4 liter twin turbo V6, and there's a pretty big recall on it. But not for this 2.4 liter 4-cylinder with a turbo and the hybrid system that they call the iForce Max. This thing makes 326 horsepower and 465 pound-feet of torque. That is a huge jump in capability from the older V6. And on and off-road, the hybrid engine feels so much bigger than it is on paper. Peak torque comes in much earlier than before, thanks to the turbo. And then with the hybrid motor, you have that immediate torque response starting from a dead stop. And this was the biggest complaint I had with the older 3.5 liter motor, where you really have to wring out the motor to get some good response. And this is also a bit easier to drive off-road as well because the power comes on pretty early. So when you're going real slow and climbing over stuff, it's easier to modulate that power and you have pretty good control. The extra benefit of the 4th gen Taco is the added sway bar disconnect. This gives you a bit more articulation on the front end, but it also makes it much more comfortable to drive off-road because your front axle is a bit more compliant. Both of these TRD Pros are still great for off-roading. There's a ton of capability in both. But if you drove them back to back, the new one just feels like a higher end truck thanks to the beefier engine and also that extra little bit of off-roading capability. Now, how about the interior? The facelifted third gen Tacoma doesn't look too bad on the inside if you can look past the standard hard plastics. It looks modern with the 8-inch touchscreen that comes with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. There's also a wireless charger, a bunch of USB ports, and the TRD Pro even has heated leather seats. And you also can't forget about the 360-degree camera view, which also comes with a blind spot monitoring system. So you're not going to feel left back, at least technology and features-wise, by going with an older used truck. Now, how about the new one? It's a drastically different presentation, but it's more or less the same experience. This one still has the Toyota hard plastics, but there's a lot of different textures on it now that it looks a bit less cheap and a bit less boring. You still have the same set of features as the last gen Tacoma. You have the heated seats, the 360-degree camera view, the ventilated seats, heated steering wheel, you have a wireless charger, you have USB ports, although it's USB-C at this point. But now you have this massive 14-inch touchscreen with the updated Toyota infotainment system and wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. As for the rear legroom, it's still pretty cramped back here, so it's at least the same experience between the old gen and the new gen. But the new Toyota TRD Pro comes with these isodynamic seats, so rear legroom is even worse by about 2 inches. So that premium space is taken up by these really fancy seats. Now, these seats will actually reduce some of the G loads that get sent through your spine for when you're doing some high-speed off-roading. This is basically a set of shock absorbers for the seat, and you could tune this to your own body weight by the supplied shock pump. So basically you just undo this and then you fill it up with air until it goes up to the proper pressures, and then you set it for both sides, and here is how you bypass the seats completely. So right now we are in the off-road setting, but you could also quickly switch it back to the on-road setting. These seats really work well for off-roading, but it is completely irrelevant for on-road use. So because of that, I kind of wish these seats were actually optional, because it does take away a lot of premium space from your rear passengers. Now, while you may not off-road all the time, you will have these seats 100% of the time. So you really have to value between your rear passenger's comfort versus your own when it comes to these seats. Now, as for the exterior, I want to know what your thoughts are, because both of them are pretty good looking trucks. Now, the 4th gen shows off some of the new collaboration Toyota has taken on with some of the well-known aftermarket brands. Also, for the 4th gen, Toyota has taken more steps to make the TRD Pro stand out a bit more than the others. And it's not just about the skid plate on the front and also the upper control arms with the TRD stamped right on it, but this one now also uses unique front bumpers that has been notched so that you could get more exposure to these Wrangler Territory tires. There's also the two-tone paint configuration that's only available for this trim. You get the TRD Pro tailgate and also these ARB steel bumpers and these recovery points. Whereas for the 3rd gen Tacoma, it's a little bit harder to tell the TRD Pros apart if it didn't have that special TRD Pro color. So in summary, is it better to get the 3rd gen Tacoma TRD Pro or the 4th gen? I think once all of the first model year issues have been ironed out, in a couple of years, I think the 4th gen is the much better truck. It's more capable, it's got a lot more features inside, and I think it's a better off-roader. It's also got better mileage, about 20 miles per gallon mix, depending on how you drive, much better than the 3.5 liter V6. But if you value reliability first and foremost, and you're probably one of those truck owners that buys a truck and keeps it for about 20, 30 years, then I think the choice is pretty clear there with the 3rd gen, because there's been instances, many instances, where it goes beyond 200, 300,000 miles with just simple maintenance. So I want to thank you so much for watching all the way up to this point. I want to hear your thoughts, 3rd gen or 4th gen, let me know in the comments below. But I want to thank you so much for watching. My name is Hanson. That has been the 2024 Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro, and I'll see you in the next one.